gingerbread still. When I open up one flavor, I'll drink it until it's gone. So the way I roll. I don't want to lose the flavor, right? Because when you open up the ground coffee, it kind of loses its flavor after a while. Anyway, so I'm just going to double check that everything's working over here. I got to. Yep. Okay. I hear myself. Great. So this is my thought today over our warm cup of coffee. It is very cold here. I don't know how cold. I think my computer's wrong because I know we were having another cold snap. So my computer must be confused about where I'm at. You ever confused about where you're at? I know why the computer does. It's because sometimes the IP address might be bouncing off some server somewhere else. That's kind of geek speak, but sometimes that happens, and that's why the computer is confused about where you're at. That's okay. But you know where I'm at. I'm Ginny, if you don't know me, and I run a home business. I'm a tech geek. But this 7 a.m. talk, I did check my mic. Yeah, I did. It's just me having a cup of coffee with you and sharing some thoughts. Yesterday, I shared the elephant rope story. If you didn't see it, you can go back to it, or, on Instagram, it's my Cup of Hope series. Same thing on YouTube, if I took the time to categorize it. Sometimes I don't go back and do that. But before I share my thought today, make sure you hit the links in my profile so that you get your free stuff. There's a DMO in there, which I found very handy to get the work done in the nooks and crannies of my day. It helped me to see how somebody else organized their day. We're busy people, and we have to find a way to get the work done throughout our day, right? So it helped me to see how somebody else organized it, and then I tweaked it for myself. And you can download it too and do the same. And it'll help you work your home business around. For me, it's around my job. It's around my kids and family. It's around my kids and their sports. Whatever's going on, there's a lot going on always. And I have a lot of interests too. I like to ice fish. I like to stay in shape, so there's a lot to do. Anyway, so my thought for today, I titled it, "They Didn't Even Have Shoes." So I like to read history books. I didn't when I was younger, but there are some authors now that make the storytelling really, really good and really graphic because they explain more about what's going on. So George Washington, we all know the story of crossing the Delaware, right? It's the Delaware River. I don't remember things all the time, so I'm not a professional by any means. I'm a mom. And I read this a long time ago. But for some reason, it popped into my brain today. And the parts of the story that I didn't know were like, number one, he was, the fourth kid in his family. So there wasn't any money left for his education. So he kind of educated himself. And so growing up, he had to kind of fight his own way, right? Find his own way, teach himself and find his own way. And he was pretty successful in finding his way, right? I think he taught himself how to be a surveyor. So he was able to find property, that no one else recognized and stuff like that. And to keep going with the story, to get to the part about the shoes, he also, I'll fast forward a bit, he also ended up being successful in the British Army, except that because they looked down on the colonists, they didn't, he wasn't born in Great Britain. So they kind of looked down on that and they didn't promote him, right? Even though he took the, can I say a swear word? Do you care? he took the shit jobs. He took the shit jobs and he did the best he could with those shit jobs. So there was that, right? And then when we get into the revolution and he's battling these trained, I mean, they weren't trained. His people were not trained. They were farmers. They had, half of them didn't have any shoes on their feet. By the time he got to where he crossed the frozen river, they'd been defeated completely. People were running from the army. And he was way outnumbered, right? I mean, they had like, I don't know what the number is, but I'm just going to grab one. It was like tens of thousands more than what they had. Like he started out with like maybe 7,500, but by the time they were defeated so many times, he was down to like 5,000, something like that. It was around 2,000 that they'd lost. And the people, okay, I got to keep going. So, I'm trying to remember all the little details here, but I don't know. You'll have to read it. I'll have to find out what the book was. I think it was one of Bill O'Reilly's books. And they're completely defeated, right? They have no shoes. There are literally blood trails in the snow because it's freaking cold. It's cold. This is winter. I mean, we're looking at Christmas. That's the time of year it was. And the British Army is not only well fed, I mean, they ran out of food too. They ran out of food. I mean, it's like complete. When I read this part of this story that I didn't know about and all these little details, I was like, it just seems impossible. Impossible that they could win anything. The army was literally running away from him because the British were offering like rewards and food for people that abandoned the revolutionaries. If you're in that situation, you're starving, you're out of food, you have no shoes, you're completely poor. A lot of them had dysentery. They were sick, literally sleeping in the cold on the ground under leaves. I mean, would you stick with it? I don't think I would. I think I would have ran too. I don't know. I don't know what I would have been like in that. Well, back then, I guess I wouldn't be there because I'm a woman. But just thinking about it, it seems impossible. Possible. And, you know, when you watch those movies, when everything bad is happening and you get to that point and you're just like, this is an impossible situation. There's no way they're going to get out of it. No way. Right? Well, obviously they did. You know, I don't know how he convinced, you know, some of them to stay. Obviously he did. And on Christmas Eve, they crossed that river, which was crazy. The British figured that they wouldn't be attacking because it was cold. Wait for the warmer weather to come, maybe the next day or the next day. There are literally icebergs in the river, and they have to take cannons and all kinds of stuff across the river. And not to mention that some of the British Army, they had Haitians with them, which were really skilled fighters, which is why they easily defeated these poor farmers who were fighting. Anyway, they did it. They crossed the river. The Haitians were actually partying that night. They just got drunk and partied and stuff. So by the time Washington got everybody across the river, it was like 4 a.m. and they surprise attacked them. They're all probably hungover, right? And they pretty much defeated and captured them within an hour. Isn't that crazy? So it was the very first win, which turned everything around because, you know, then they realized, and I'll also tell you that everybody was making fun of Washington. They thought he was a joke. They thought, you know, he doesn't know what he's doing. We're never going to win this. But here we are in the land of the free. So if you want to read the book, I'll find out what it was. I read it a long time ago, but it's very good. Looking back on our history and reading about people who have overcome such huge obstacles should inspire you, because we aren't in that dire of straits. We have a lot at our fingertips. So I encourage you to find your way and to keep going. That's my little cup of hope for the day. I hope it inspires you, and let me know if you want that book, and let me know if you have any questions about the DMO that's in my links. I found it helpful. I mean, maybe you will too. I have other stuff on there if you don't need one, but that's it. And if you want more inspiration, sign up for my newsletter, because I do talk about stuff. Do I have any questions or comments? Let me see. Because then I'll just go freshen my coffee, finish my morning work, and get going. Nope. Looks like I froze too. Over here on Instagram, looks like I'm fine. But I'll just end with that. Make it a great day. You can do anything. Anything. Oh, and since I froze over here, I just ended my stream on Instagram. But my last little word was, you can do anything. Promise. You're limitless. And you're amazing.